I'm about to share with you 7 different Google Shopping ad optimization tips, and these are some you must be implementing in 2023 and onwards to scale your e-commerce brand. These are some of the tips I personally developed after now generating close to $20 million in revenue from Google Ads alone. So if you have been looking for shopping ad optimization tips to scale your Performance Max or standard shopping campaigns to the next level, this is it. But with that, the first major tip is to choose different campaign bidding strategies based on actual data, or at least based on real research. If you are setting random numbers that are not backed by data but just backed by what you want to achieve, this leads to a lot of problems. And if you really don't know what numbers to set, you might as well not set any number at all, especially with those Performance Max campaigns. With, of course, standard shopping campaigns where you need to use maximize clicks or manual CPC as the bid limit, you should obviously start by setting a certain bid limit, but of course base it off of real research via keyword research, etc. This ultimately will bring us to thing number 2, which is to not be optimizing campaigns more than once every 5 days or every 7 days and onwards. Google Ads is a search-based platform. It is a platform where your customers come to you. You don't go out after your customer. You don't force your ad in front of your customer like you would with Facebook or TikTok. So this means that you need to take a step back, and once you make any type of change, allow 5 or 7 or even 14 days for that change to come into effect. Otherwise, you do not give enough time for the algorithm to become smarter, and the algorithm starts to work against you and ultimately starts to not provide you the results you want. That brings us to the third tip, which you should be doing, which is to segment products based on key similarities. When I say key, I mean something that really makes your product stand together or stand apart from each other. Things like bestsellers versus losers, things like the profit margins or the cost of the goods itself, or even things like the selling price. All these are ideal similarities which can help you segregate out your products into their own Performance Max campaigns or standard shopping campaigns. The ultimate goal with this kind of segmentation is to make it easy for the algorithm to go out and find the real customer for you. That brings me to the fourth optimization tip, which is going to really change the game for your shopping ads, and this is to separate out cold traffic from hot traffic. Now, the perfect example for this is right here on my screen. So if we go now inside, for example, this Performance Max campaign, we go on over to settings, and from the settings section going down to customer acquisition section, because here what you want to do is you want to check this box right here and you want to choose only bid for new customers. This literally gives you the ability to turn this Performance Max campaign from a retargeting plus cold traffic campaign into a cold traffic only campaign. And if you think about it for a second, it actually makes sense. You want to have a different kind of an approach for retargeting audiences compared to your approach for only the new customers, and that's the ideal way to go about your shopping campaigns, at least Performance Max in 2023 and onwards. But this brings me to the fifth tip for your Google Shopping ads and optimization in general, and that is to force your Performance Max campaign to run as a feed only, but test other approaches along with that feed only approach via new asset groups. And what I mean by this is adding a lot more assets and asset groups along with the feed only mix, and this is best done within a Performance Max campaign, the asset group section. Now, the easiest way to do this is to just come inside and then launch multiple different asset groups. You could have some where there's different kinds of images, logos, headlines with audience signals. You could have some where it's the same images but with completely different audience signals. You could have some where there's no images at all and audience signals. And the fourth thing you could have is no images and no signals. These are all things which are worth a test. So you would never want to just have only one asset group running unless your budget is super low per day, like $20 or $25 a day. In that case, you want to start with only one. But if you have the ability to have a higher budget, I highly recommend in 2023 and onwards, you launch at least a minimum of 3 to 4 different asset groups and really let the algorithm test what works the best. Because if you go to listing groups on the left and you look at the the actual data, you'll be able to see what's working the best versus what's not working the best within these different kinds of asset groups. So here we see there's one asset group, which is our audience asset group, doing the best here, running at a 2.55x ROAS, and that's pretty much it. That's the one that's working the best here. So this brings us now to the sixth tip I have on the list, which is to avoid using any type of manual bidding strategies unless absolutely needed. It's 2023 now. Google Ads is heavily pushing towards smart bidding. That's the whole reason why Performance Max campaigns were even introduced to begin with. So you want to stay 10 feet away from these manual bidding strategies like manual CPC or maximize clicks unless absolutely necessary. And again, we want to utilize Google's algorithm, and we want to use all of this data Google has accumulated over the years to our advantage. And trust me, even if your ad account is brand new, there's a very good chance Performance Max will work good for your brand. And we say this from experience. I mean, perfect example of a brand we started with from scratch is this one right here. We're starting this with Performance Max campaigns, and so far this PMax campaign is running at a 10x ROAS in the last 30 days. In the last 14 days, this one is running at a 13x ROAS, and in the last 7 days, this PMax is still a 13x ROAS. So this is the beauty of PMax. It's very powerful if you know how to approach it properly and if you know how to use the right strategies. But this brings us now to the final kind of tip, and that is to add negative keywords to your Performance Max campaigns. Now, I released a video recently which talked about the newest Google Ads updates. It talked about how you can exclude brand search keywords with Performance Max. But another thing you can do if you know exactly which negative keywords you want to add for your Performance Max is to actually call in Google Ads support. This is only something that can be done after calling them personally. It's unfortunately not something you could do from the back end. But these are some of the 7 different Google Shopping ad optimization tips you should be implementing. Again, if you're doing 40K or more per month in revenue and you want to scale with Google Ads to the next level, go on to yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But be sure to like this video if you found any type of value here, and subscribe for more videos just like these ones. And definitely check out this video right here on my 5 newest and best Performance Max campaign strategies which you can actually implement to scale your brand to the next level.